general community, not or not sessions of consulting and that kind, but keep the general community vibrant, lively, and free to members. We're gonna go to a 501c3, which is basically a charity model, and that we should file paperwork probably beginning of next week. So in here, and this is not, you don't see it when you come into the site right now because we're not really ready for it, but what you'll see is directing people to come into the site, that come in and be able to click on, in that case, the logo, come to an area where we'll have our short video. So somebody can watch the video and drop down here, and there'll be an area where people can give one time, monthly, quarterly. You see the button here. Then going back to, so this will go live probably the middle of next week. There's a lot of work. There's some work that we're doing on the landing page. And there's some other work we're doing with this. In addition to, we just completed the new bylaws and all the forms, the famous, I guess, the forms for filing for a 501c3 and moving from 501c6. So in addition to that, go ahead. Any questions?
No, I just have a suggestion, because if you go to ewb-usa.org, they have several levels of corporate giving through which they do their projects worldwide for solving water, sanitation, power, solar power, all these projects around the world. And companies gave at the level of $1 million, $500,000, $250,000 a year, 125, 50, 25.
Yeah.
They got different names, platinum, diamond, all that good stuff. But they have, they accumulate at least 10 to 12, 15 million a year through this giving. And the projects they fund, like last year, there were 600 or 700 projects worldwide.
Wow.
And these are all projects. Like I'm doing a project through EWB Chicago in Kenya now, where for $55,000, we're building state-of-the-art bathrooms with proper, drainage pits and soap pits and all that for a school of 500 plus children in Western Kenya.
Wow.
And we have 10 engineers from all over Chicagoland donating their time, designing a system which will be resistant to flooding and provide decent bathrooms for these kids. For 2 years, they haven't had a bathroom. They have to just use whatever facilities out in the open.
Wow. Okay.
And so if we collect money from really people who want to see the water problem solved around the world, sanitation problems solved around the world, this would be a great way to collect the money and then ask for projects that are worthy. And then we do a competition like Randy does on which one is the best, and award $50,000, $100,000 kind of a thing to a project, which solves a problem for the most needy in the world.
Right. What was the
So
website
this is a
again,
great,
Raj? What was the website?
EWB,
What was
Engineers
the
Without
website?
Borders.
What it-
EWB, E as in Edward, W as in Wilson, B as in boy,
Yeah.
-USA.org.
It's Engineers Without Borders, Frank, which is
Okay,
nice
got it.
because it gets you the talent as well as the funding.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you know, we have now through the GlobalWorks Connect, we can get the talent of retired people or people who have a big heart to give their time and talent to people. And then if we have the funds to combine that, we can start providing water to the neediest people around the world, starting from parts of Africa, Asia, to even parts of Mississippi that don't have access to clean water.
That is a great idea, because one of the things we've been talking about, and we're starting to discover and do detailed discovery in, is each year as we go forward as a charity, we would want to support a campaign around something.
Yeah.
And maybe it is Vivo Blue with their $40 filter, which we can go and propagate with. Maybe it's working on a Hydroloop project someplace. Maybe it's putting water fleet utilities, mobile utilities into Navajo Nation. So there's a number of things so that would fit very, very well. You know, Randy's competition would fit also. So all of that is good, and we've been working on this for about 3 months, and so we're going to be talking a lot more about it and how do we impact. Truly, our mission is to solve the global water crisis in a generation, and we believe very strongly we can do that. We've got the technology. It's a question of business models and education. So as part of we're going to expand the education area of GlobalWaterWorks, so that we're bringing in my donkey that is out here in the pasture is going to become our water donkey, and she will be leading children's classes and that kind of thing. So many things going on there. But in addition to that, we've worked very hard, and I'm going to take you to one other area, and then we're going to go and talk about Water Heroes. So the Water Technology Showcase is very, very core to GlobalWaterWorks. It's the foundation. Yeah. And right now we keep building this database of technology companies.
Wow.
And it looks now like this. There's now 87 companies in here. Each one, you can go and you take, let me take this in a different view here. Okay. So each one of these, if I go into any one of them, they're all, what we've done was, of course, the logo, the company's URL to get to them, the description of their products, the description of the company, and a case study, and hopefully, most companies have it, a video which is the story of the company. And so each one of these has, so somebody's looking for, and then you can search on topics, analytics, metering, reuse, all the way through. Here's Hydroloop. Fernando's on the call here. So we've got Hydroloop here, the logo, the founder, a little bit of company description, organization. Here is starting into what their product description is. And this was all provided by Hydroloop. And then down here is a video. And then here we can add a case study. So somebody can come in here, look at Hydroloop, go to the site, find out about the company, find out about the products, and they can do it by searching on a field. Here we happen to have a number of things: reuse, water recycling in the home, and commercial buildings. So anyway, it's getting to be fairly extensive. 87 companies, will be probably 120 companies by the end of next week. And this certainly then it continues to grow. And be available. We think that we will have very shortly, if we don't right now, the most extensive water technology database literally on the planet.
Well,
And all of these are working. We will in the future have a section on new innovation, but maybe that'll be, companies that are in beta. But these are all companies that are proven. They have case studies. They have good company history, so on and so forth. And so this is a big part of GlobalWaterWorks,
yeah,
and it continues to grow.
yeah, and I just like,
87,
There's
87
87.
times 1,000. We have a seed money of $87,000 to start with our 501c3.
Uh-huh. There we go.
yes,
Yeah,
good.
there's actually 90 right there. You're right. There you go.
90,000. So
Yeah.
if everybody gets 2,000, it is $200,000 kitty now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Getting the kitty. There we go. So
Raj is
that's
businessman.
that's bringing you up to date on what's going on with GlobalWaterWorks. Let me go now to our topic of discussion today, which is water heroes. We think that there's a journey to get people from interested in water to becoming, a water hero. So what we've tried to do, and we want to discuss what that journey is and how important the journey is. You can have a child that's a water hero because they doggedly turn off the water while they're brushing their teeth, or they put a bucket outside and collect rainwater to water the plants. So the objective certainly is to bring people from where they are to being a water hero. And the open discussion point with us here is to talk about, what do you think are the characteristics of a water hero? So I'll throw that out to the group here.
Open for discussion now.
Yes, sir.
I think a genuine compassion for a fellow human being. If you have that, you say, I have all these comforts, water whenever I want, 24/7, clean water. I live in the Great Lakes area, open my tap, I get clean water. And how about the kid in Africa, in Flint, Michigan, or in Jackson, Mississippi, that doesn't have access to that kind of water that I'm used to?
Right.
What can I do for that fellow human being on this planet to provide the basic component of life, which is water?
Right.
If you have that, then with that mindset, you develop a water respecting culture like Israel has.
Yes.
And
point.
once you respect water, you understand the complexities of getting clean water to the people, to the animals who need it, to grow our food. And then you say, my God, this is a God-given water resource. Why should we have such strong property rights on water, but no rights on access to clean water? So there is some disconnect here.
Yes.
If people can fight in the western parts of Colorado saying, this is my water right, you can't touch it, when a person there is going thirsty, is that a human way of living on this planet? These are the questions if somebody asks, then they will say,
it's a passion.
And for me, my water hero is Dr. Jack Schaefer. This gentleman, till he died a few years ago in, unfortunately, a nursing home in Chicago, he, right from his graduate school days, he was interested in the problems of flooding. And Dr. Gilbert White, one of the leaders of water in this country, was his professor at the university. And so right from after he got his doctorate, he was tapped in by the US Army as an advisor. And he was one of the authors of the Clean Water Act in the late 1960s to culminate in the Clean Water Act of 1970. So whenever I met him, I got to know him only in his mid 70s or early 70s. Every time he was such a missionary for water. He would say, Raj, we can flood proof the whole world. Why are we having flood damages still going on in this country, around the world? We can recycle every drop of water. Why aren't we doing it?
Mhm.
And he used to tell me, you know what the intent of the Clean Water Act is? To not charge people for clean water, but through wastewater treatment plants, recovering of nutrients and other things, make the water treatment system pay for itself and give access to recycled water to anybody who needs it. That was the intent. But we have forgotten the intent and we just keep on spending more, and ratepayers have to pay more for wastewater treatment or for stormwater treatment. And, we just waste so much stormwater, rainwater, and then wastewater, which if not treated becomes a pollutant, a hazard instead of a resource. So these are the kinds of things a person has to have, that thinking through as to what a dirty drop of water does to the environment, to fellow human beings. So then why do I create that dirty drop of water? Why can't I conserve? Then the whole mindset starts from there. Why can't I use every drop of water that God has given us by capturing the rainwater instead of using fresh water for, all non-portable uses? I can use all non-portable uses, recycled water. Only the human body needs, real fresh water for it to be productive. But all
Raj,
others, like,
if I could add to your comment, I love the word they use. We need to respect water, right? I do a lot of work with my nonprofit in developing countries. They respect water in Uganda. They respect water in Jordan. We don't respect water in the US as we should. It's not an infinite resource. It's a basic human necessity in preservation of human dignity, right? So, one of the things I'd suggest with GlobalWaterWorks is you go to your nonprofit environment, connect with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDG number 6, clean water and sanitation.
SDG
that is a
number 6.
basic human right for everyone in the world. There's 1.4 billion people without access to water or sanitation. So I think that word respect water resonates with me based on my travels, based on the work that I've done in developing countries. And we need to get that same fundamental thought process here in the US. I run into many, many organizations, individuals, and water companies that do not understand or do not want to accept the water crisis that we're in. And this is not a water crisis in developing countries only. This is in Miami, LA, right?
There's no question.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So because
Jackson,
water,
Mississippi.
yeah, because
Yeah,
water,
Jackson.
because water is cheap doesn't mean water is infinite.
That's right.
And we're not respecting water the way other parts of the world are. And some of the water heroes that I see are the folks that are driving innovation out of necessity. There's some great examples in Kenya where they came up with a solution driven by a young lady who grew up without water in her village. So she did something about it to help her human fellow villagers to do something that would have long-lasting impact for generations to come. So that UN connection to SDG 6, I think it's a core piece that I think I encourage you to be engaged with.
Yes, and we've actually built that into our response for the 501c3 application. We've got SDG 6 in there, obviously. So, and I agree with you. I spent some time in Nicaragua and in Ecuador and in El Salvador and in Malawi, Africa, and certainly on business in China. And what I found as early on in my first trip was maybe 20 years ago into Nicaragua, and the children who saw running water in the gutter of the street because it was running thought it was clean, and they would drink it. And and out of that comes a lot of things. But and then in Malawi, they were carting water from Lake Malawi, which we were told very strictly not even to put our feet in.
Right.
And the women were on the road at night, after the sun was, cooler in the day, with the pots on their head with their little kids carrying the water down the street. So respect for water and passion about water, I think, are two key characteristics of a water hero. I agree, absolutely. That's a great start.
And let me tell you a 1-minute story of my childhood in India. We were a joint family of about 22 people living in 4 rooms. And we would get water for 2 hours in the morning. And so we built a concrete storage tank where as soon as the water comes at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning till 7 a.m., we would store all the water.
Mm-hmm.
And during the whole day, we managed with that. And some days, the next day also, water might not come. So we would manage for a couple of days. And I learned to take a shower in a half a bucket of water.
Ah,
Even now, when I go to India, I don't stay, although I can go to a nice hotel. I stay with my relative. And I take half a bucket of water in the coldest days there, wee bit warming up the water, and half a bucket, 1 bowl, 1 mug of water to wet myself, soap, and then take my shower, clean.
mm.
And here we think a 10-minute, 15-minute shower is nothing. Here also, although I live in the Great Lakes area, I don't start my water in my shower. I just have drops trickling till I soap myself.
Mm.
And then I open it full force, just get all the soap off, done, shut it off. So that's the kind of thing I grew up respecting water, how valuable it is, how we have to conserve, how we have to use it very, very carefully.
Yes, agree.
Yeah. And I think most of you have or hope you watch Brave Blue World, the documentary on Netflix. It
Yeah.
details the challenges around the globe, but also the people that are providing solutions. And I say that outside of Hydroloop because Hydroloop is in the documentary. That's how I learned about them. But that documentary itself had such a tremendous impact on me personally. That's what drove me to Hydroloop. It drove me to make a career change, to have purpose in whatever I do going forward. So purpose needs to be part of anybody's DNA as we grow. I do a lot of speaking engagements to university students, undergrads, and there's an interest out there preparing the next generation to have respect and to have passion and to have impact built into their careers going forward. We need to address that young generation. It's education and making them aware of what goes outside the boundaries of this privileged world that we live in.
Yeah, we think even
Very, very correct,
education at
Fernando.
the grade school level.
I will drop you a note, Fernando. We'll discuss this further.
Yeah,
Very good.
I'd love to. I love to learn more.
It's
And when you
fantastic.
said you started your journey, I started my journey as a mining engineer and just focused on getting the resource out of the ground into society. And then when I had an opportunity in Chicago to get involved in the deep tunnel using my mining experience in tunneling and opening big holes in the ground, I saw how water was recycled through the deep tunnel system. And slowly I got into remediation of contaminated sites all around the US and saw how indiscriminately industry was contaminating the groundwater resource, surface water resources in a community because they just wanted cheap water, dispose it anywhere they want. And so my first book I wrote was Sustainable Mining Practices, a Global Perspective. I collected case histories from around the world where they do mining without ruining the environment and keeping a sustainable environment. So this is where you see, things that if you are sensitive to it, you catch on to it and say, I have to do something about this. Otherwise, we cannot sustain ourselves this way and we have to be better. So that is the kind of thinking you need going through any career you have that, I'm not just focused on my paycheck and making money, but how do I fit into society? What are my roles and responsibilities as a citizen? How can I make the world greener, more water available? Those kinds of things, like Ramiro said, Fernando said, the purpose, a higher purpose than just the material comforts that we all think are required.
Just
I'd also like to think that, and I challenge corporate America, right? Corporate America needs to have a balance between purpose and profit.
Yep.
And some of them are trying for the right reasons. Some of them are doing. So there's a page on their annual report, but they have a possibility. Maybe it's not money related, but how about you sponsor 5 employees to go to Uganda with me to help solve a water well with solar power pumps? That's contribution. It's corporate America seems to think it's just, we're asking for money. We're asking for help in any way, shape, or form. It's not just money. So put purpose into that balance with your profit sheet.
That's very good.
Fernando, go to EWB USA. We have 250 chapters around the US. You will find students and professionals willing to come with you to any part of the world you want and work on a water or sanitation problem. And now all the EWB corporate members, they are proud to let their staff go for a week to 2 weeks to work on a water project. When I started a company in India called Tetra Tech India, there was a young kid from San Luis Obispo who called me and said, we are going to do a water project in Dehradun, India for this poor community. So I called up my Delhi office and I said, come on, give one of our senior water engineers for 2 weeks to advise these kids on this project they're doing in this community. And we'll not charge anybody anything, it's our overhead. And my office manager gladly did that. And that was the proudest moment for the guy who went there and worked with these kids to provide clean water to this needy community in northern part of India. So these things can be done. We have to challenge corporate America. We have to challenge individuals that, hey, you are a citizen of the world and you have to do your part and think big.
So given that passion, I think for compassion for fellow human beings, I think passion around water, respect for water, very good foundational pillars for being a water hero. So where does, the next question then becomes, where do we begin that journey for people? Because I think I hope everybody agrees that we need to, and I'm going to do this through GlobalWaterWorks and just through each other, is we need to develop water heroes. We need to develop people that are passionate, that are compassionate, and that respect water. So where do you think that journey begins?
In schools and in colleges like Fernando is doing. If we set up speaking engagements, a speakers bureau, which any school anywhere in the world can get access to and say, we want to have a class for the next this semester on water issues. Can an expert come and talk to us and appraise our students of how they can be water heroes, become water heroes, and have respect for water? And then you have become the conduit to tell them, hey, in this part of the world, so-and-so person is willing to do it. Or with a virtual world we live in, you can say, Raj, there's a group in this part of India, this part of Africa that is looking for some help. Will you spare an hour to talk to the students there?
Very good.
Yeah, I think that raise awareness at that level on the education side. I'm always surprised of how many students I talk to that are way too comfortable in their environment. I have someone from Bangladesh or someone from Jordan speak to them. They're in awe. They're the first person they've ever heard speak with an accent outside of the US, outside of their neighborhood. And wow, this is magnificent. So it raises that awareness, but it also starts building that foundation of, think outside your comfort zone and your boundary. I always tell them, part of our challenge is to move the bar from sympathy to empathy. I get a lot of sympathy when I talk to people and I tell them about my projects in Uganda or in Jordan, but it's empathy that's going to really drive the action, right? It's really going to, we need them to act and be part of a project and help us move that ball forward. Patting me on the back and say, you're doing great work, I'm so proud of you. I can get that from my mother every day, right? And I do. But I want empathy. I want action. So our whole foundation that I started a couple of years ago is to drive action. And I say this to the UN when I get a chance. We talk too much. We have too many committees. We have too many meetings. This collaboration and cooperation words are overused in the global community. Let's take action.
Yeah. So Randy, you mentioned at the top, talking about the competition that you're judging. Is the purpose of that competition strictly scientific, or is it also for awareness?
The purpose of the contest is to solve real-world problems associated with the environment.
Okay.
And so you have various sponsors that have a problem that needs to be solved in their area. And so they'll sponsor a competition task. And then the students all get together and create these teams, and they'll actually build a bench scale prototype of, to solve that problem. And they have to demonstrate a workable prototype to the judges, and then they give an oral presentation to the judges and a poster presentation as well. And then the winning team gets some money from the sponsor that sponsored the task. I mean, they may, I forget, several $1,000s for scholarships or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Randy, what I did last year was I spoke to about 275 students from 50 universities in India on what it takes to have clean water. And these students with second, third year engineering students, somewhere from computers, electronics or electrical, mechanical, few people from civil. But when I told them how they can go to a community close to their college and see what the problems they are with water, clean water, and come up with a solution. These students, although they were under lockdown for COVID, they used their imagination right on campus, what they could do. I have 4 projects now going into the pilot stage now, where one student says, in our canteen and in our cafeteria, in our college, we use so much wash basins, just wastewater goes down the ground, we just soaks into the ground and all that. How can we recycle it and reuse it? And these kids have come up with a filtration system, and they're doing some pilot scale studies in their campus. And then once colleges open full, all the labs are available and they can go to a community, they're going to actually go to the 3rd phase from pilot on their campus to a community. One group said, our laundry wastewater in our campus is so huge. That is, all goes to a wastewater treatment plant and then gets recycled. Why can't we bypass that, treat the wastewater from the laundry operation and recycle it and reuse it? So they are working on that. One group said, we have a lot of industrial dyes. We market these ready-made garments around the world from our part of India. And there's so much water filled with dye, which is disposed by industry. How can we clean that up and reuse it in the industry? So these are the kinds, and one group were doing some community work in a community 20 kilometers from their college. They saw people drinking from a dirty pond. They said, we'll put a filtration, just simple biosand filtration system. So I said, I challenge all of these kids. They are doing it now. And now I'm trying to get folks to build a kitty of money for these kids to do from their pilot scale in the lab to a community project to really impact the community. And these are people who are not even civil and didn't know about water. But when I spoke about that for an hour to them, they said, hey, we want to select the water project instead of some other project in energy or something like that. So this is possible if we ignite young minds. They just will rise up to the challenge and they will accomplish, their full potential.
Very
and
interesting.
solve communities'
Raj.
problems.
Yeah, very interesting.
Very interesting. So how do we how do we develop, given that where the journey begins in education, and given the characteristics of compassion and respect for water and a passion about water, how do we develop water heroes? I mean, we have many people who are certainly in the community that are water heroes, but there are many people in the community that are really window, you know, they're kind of walking by the window kind of thing. How do we create something compelling enough that people would want to become, you know, whether it's a water hero, being compassionate, respect for water? How do you think we do that?
Frank, we talked about our school kids, college kids.
Yes.
How about the general citizenry?
Yes.
They have no clue where their water comes, how much it costs to get clean water to them. If they don't get it, they clamor and they make all kinds of noise in society. But do they know what it takes to get them clean water? And unless we price our water like Israel does, so that you are a family of 2 to 3 people, normally you use only this much. You use 5 times that, your water bill is 5 times that for that month. Now, if we are not going to take the cost of water and divide it equally amongst everybody, depending on how much usage, we're going to price the water. And then citizens will wake up and say, hey, I didn't know this. So let me, like Chicago is giving water for free to all the high-rise buildings till they didn't even put water meters. Till our mayor called Rahm Emanuel came and said, I'm going to charge for water. Even to this Archdiocese of Chicago. I said, what? You're going to charge for water? That's unbelievable. I said, hey, it's not free here. And by doing that, charging for water, he created a fund to replace all the leaking pipes and start a program of maintenance of our old water system, which is 150 plus years old. So this is the kind of thing we need to get to the general citizens. And we never know when these people know what it costs, they might become water heroes. And they say, hey, I came up with this water way of saving water, and I'm sharing it with my community. And if every community starts thinking, how are we going to, cheer our water heroes in our community? Then we get slowly water heroes developed among the general population, and overall water conservation takes place, respect for water starts happening.
There's got to be short of having a Rahm Emanuel start charging for water in high rises, how do we do, there's a communication gap, I guess, between the reality of the cost of water and what it takes to get a clean glass of water out of your tap and how much water we waste. There's a gap between that and getting that information in a real, understandable, and compelling way to the citizenry. I mean, I think
our leaders have to speak up, like President Biden now, when he says $2.2 trillion to fix our infrastructure, which includes water. Our infrastructure doesn't mean just roads and highways and airports. It means water, piping.
Yes.
It means, basic necessities of human life. Unless every leader in every community speaks up, this will not happen. And so national leadership, they've started a national dialogue now. It has to be an international dialogue. And it has to continue, not after 4 years, somebody else comes and throws the whole thing out and says, we're going to do some other priority. Water is a priority for everyone forever. It's not a 4-year project or a 8-year project.
Yeah. I think we also desperately need to engage with the water industry itself.
Yeah.
I think I come from the energy space, and one thing I learned from the energy industry is regulation doesn't keep up with innovation. And that is a challenge because the monopoly environment that I've worked in all my life, energy and now water. Right. So there's also a need to engage with them and have them promote in advance the need not only to save water, like obviously in California and the western part of the state who's in drought conditions, but also support water heroes. There are water heroes within the industry. We need to find them. And
Yep.
those are spokespeople that can promote and advance and really move the ball forward.
It's a very good
Great
point.
idea, Fernando.
Very good point.
And I'd just like to reinforce the ability to have all of this real-time data makes it a game too. So there are some things where like Get Water Fit allows us to see like a Fitbit what your water use is. And these new technologies are making it more fun. And a lot of that is already portrayed in some of the next gen activities in the group, but I digress. So it sounds like we're moving toward a journey that we can respect. And I'm also conscious of time here, but
Yeah, and I think we can pick this discussion. It's been a very good discussion. We can pick it up, but I think one of the things coming out of this, maybe Mary, we have to think about a working group within the community of speakers, that available speakers. We've got at least 4 of them on the call right here in the picture, but available speakers for cities, universities, high schools that people could come in and tap into.
City councils. We got to go to talk to city councils and
City councils, right? And I'm in Hartwell, Georgia. I can go walk in the city council meeting every Monday, and so that is very good. I think we have more to talk about here, but I think this is a good start on the foundation of where we go. And I will be very candid with you. When I started and I put down what are the characteristics of a water hero, the first thing I thought about was passion and, compassion, passion about water. But then you look at, the 100 water heroes and what they've done and that kind of thing. And I really think it's not what you do, it's how you think. I mean, so somebody, that passion needs to turn into action, though. Some action.
all actions are coming from a thought. So
Yes.
the thought has to be there, has to be planted in minds all over the world.
Yeah.
And then thought will slowly lead to action.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So with that, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Mary. She's got a few things that she wants to talk about before we close off today. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Well,
Very
and
good.
I think it would be great if I don't know if everyone knows each other's backgrounds, if there's a task or a takeaway, maybe before we leave, I'd just like to have you guys go around. All I have to do is share, well, why don't I just share very briefly this, I'll stop your sharing here.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want you guys to know we do have a bulletin board, this water bulletin board, which is designed to enable us to capture or to ask anyone to submit their challenges. And we hope to use it to track progress by whenever we get a request into GlobalWaterWorks to make sure it's resolved. And you can list projects here. I wanted to bring up 3 that were just recently listed because they are things that people are looking for support on. And one is they hope to start a Great Lakes Midwest Reuse Association. And Fernando, we're going to talk to this Sharon Waller next week, I think. But Raj, you are in the Midwest. Would you be willing to be part of that water reuse chapter?
Yep.
Great. Okay. And Bobbi, you're not in the Midwest, but and Randy, nor are you, but we'll hopefully do that. And then the other question we had, Fernando has a question, and we need to address this. How do we get reuse systems widely accepted? It shouldn't just be where there's water scarcity because of the cost and the energy savings. There's so many different savings if we reuse water. You've said, Raj. So that's a task you guys can chime in here, make comments in these groups, in these discussions, and it's at the Water Bulletin Board in the community. And also there are specific technologies that are looking for funding. And so Karen shared these fundings, 5.5 billion. You guys aren't in the funding finance area, so I'll move through these. I just wanted to point that out, and also point out the fact that we already do have a Water Heroes Showcase. You guys have all made impacts, and you'll see Raj right here. How about that? We put him in because he of the impact that he's had 41 years, and his desire to continue to make impact, looking at Africa and India for places where he can shape things. But this is the type of thing we want to have people looking to, with the idea that you don't have to ever leave the water industry. These people are retiring, and we don't want to lose knowledge. We don't want to lose expertise or the visionary and the leadership lessons. So we do have these 100 people who have been profiled. GlobalWaterWorks was fortunate to be referenced, but you can go into this Water Heroes, and I'll just add you all to this and browse who they are. You can see them just by going down, and 100. Oh, there's Randy here too, and knowing that you can find the profiles. What we think is essential is that they all do have impact. And anyway, I'll send over a framework for this idea, but I know Raj knew this Rajendra Singh too. So, so that was all I wanted to cover today. And just the fact that in your profiles, in order to make it easy for everyone to find you, putting in a reference point in your profile, your contact information. So I noticed at the start of the call, we were talking about how we share information, but if you have like a calendar device or your LinkedIn, to put that in here, or else put your phone number in the paragraph if you want, or your email, you can add that to the introduction pieces. But we want to make sure we're always referring to experts like yourselves, and that that people can easily get connected through the community. But I'd love to hear, we want to use this time to celebrate progress and acknowledge that together we can make a difference. So I'm going to just stop sharing and ask everyone to go around and maybe share what gives you hope, a recent initiative, something you've done or seen. And Bobbi, you've been quiet, so could I start with you? Just here.
Well, thanks. Actually, I was learning and taking notes, and Fernando, I was actually spending time on the HydroLoop website quite a lot. So,
Yes.
actually, I don't think my camera's on. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
There you are.
Hey, everybody. So I actually learned a lot, and it was wonderful to hear the longevity of the passion. You know, when we travel around the world, it really gets obvious to us. So I'm really hopeful that a lot of the travel will be lifted soon. The restrictions will be lifted, and we can get back out and travel some more and take the message to the people who, I think they find hope. Every time I seem to talk with folks, they find hope knowing that there's people like this group that are working on it, or who care about it. So I'm really looking forward to those days, and you know, the more I can engage with you guys, the better. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Mary, I have to leave in about 3 minutes.
Oh, so you go next, Raj. Thanks, Bobbi.
Yeah.
Have you here.
Thank you, Bobbi. Yeah, I think the sooner we start this Speakers Bureau and find the audiences that the speakers can speak to, the better off we are. Like HydroLoop should be in every home. Why not in big high-rise buildings? And if I always think, can I put some more other water-saving devices? But it's not easily known. And what is the cost versus, you know, the benefit? You know, if I put in this, it costs me X dollars, but over the lifetime of the product, it'll give me X dollars of savings. Immediately, the cost benefits blares at me. I'll say, okay, I'm going to get this water-saving device right now. So if we can put that kind of information, we all can start using more of the HydroLoop technologies in every building, school that we have in the world. And we have to recycle and reuse water. Otherwise, we are doomed to a very bleak future. That's my final thoughts.
Great. Thanks, you. Thank you, Raj.
Before you go, Raj, could everyone just pose for a picture? So I
Sure.
a picture. So all of our water leaders here, water heroes, making water heroes. Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Everyone looks good. Okay. So you can go now, Raj, but
Thank you. Appreciate it.
thanks for being here.
Thanks, Raj.
Yeah. And Randy.
So I'm, just kind of listening and digesting everything. I know here where I'm at, we taught for 5 years all the third graders in the Alamogordo public school system about water. And so right now in this area of about 40,000 people, every 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and I believe 8th grader has been through our training. So it's, I don't know, the thought came to me of it's like throwing seed on the ground or fishing, throwing the bait out there, and not every fish is going to bite, but there sooner or later, there's going to be a fish that'll bite, and that'll be what I consider a water hero. They become action oriented and passionate and compassionate and everything else. I'm from the technology world, so the passion I see mainly is, in someone's vision of a technology and how it can be used. And so, I don't know, there's a lot of these water heroes have a lot of looks to them. And so anyway, I'm just kind of rambling, but it's a little bit of what I've thought about.
Those are great concepts. I'm writing those down. Action-oriented, bringing a creative approach, visionary, about technology. So I think those are all good ideas. So, and Fernando, anything that you're currently excited about, seeing impact with, or?
Well, I'm excited, hopeful, and optimism with caution on the White House announcement of $100 billion infrastructure investment. That specifically mentions water recycling. So I think it talks to the nature of aging infrastructure. You look at cities here in the Northeast. I'm in conversations with New York City Department of Environmental Protection, who has a significant challenge because of aging infrastructure. So I think that's highlights the necessities into the national platform. My hope is that we can expedite the process, right? It's on the political agenda. Utilities by nature are risk adverse. They move slow.
Right.
Running out of water is not moving slow. So we need to kind of somehow expedite that whole process to have this adapt and accelerate technology that can make a difference.
Agreed. I had a really positive session with Water Now Alliance, where they mentioned that atmospheric water and these in-building reuse systems, I'll update you later, are really coming into play and being viewed more seriously as affordable as well. So
Yes.
I think that part of it is starting to move faster. And Frank, you're always adding energy and ideas to this. You get the final word.
I have two granddaughters, one's 7, one's 9, and the 9-year-old is a writer and she's a very cerebral person. She, surprising to me, which I didn't know anything about it, she wrote and published a book on water and energy. She's in the 3rd grade.
That's my water hero.
Yeah, she's definitely a water hero. So she wrote this book, and we were picking them up a couple weeks ago because we brought them up to the ranch for a weekend when my daughter and son-in-law were gone, and she showed me the book, and I was stunned.
It's like a National Geographic book. Do you have it right there,
Wow.
Frank? It's so amazing.
Yeah, I took I took pictures of it and sent them off to Mary for her to take a look at. But it's pretty stunning. She's gonna get a bunch of copies, and and we can use them. So
Yeah.
Nice.
very very
Congrats.
happy.
So that next generation is ready to go. But
Right.
well, I want to toast all of you. Unless was there anything else, Frank?
That's it. I'm grateful to everybody for being on the call and all the contribution. Now
Yeah.
we have to get up a working group on Water Heroes, and so we're probably going to be
Yep.
looking at.
Bobby's there.
Yeah.
Yes, Bobby's helping us coordinate, add structure to GlobalWaterWorks, and we're thrilled. She helped launch 2
Yeah.
utility initiatives. So I don't have a good water thing to show. My water turned 7 up. I'm going to toast all of you great water heroes for your passion, your commitment, your respect for water, and making things happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yep.
Cheers.
We'll keep adding to the fold and hopefully sharing this impact, but I'll put this out in the community. And in 2 weeks, we are going to focus, Fernando, we'd like to look at reuse and have Sharon and some others talk about things. So maybe you could share what that opportunity is, and then we'll invite other people to come around because we're almost at Earth Day. That'll be April 22nd. So
Everyone have a great evening.
yep. Thanks, you
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Good seeing you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye-bye.